That involved breaking some barriers in the cath lab and involved him actually making some career sacrifices of his own. But I think for Mike, it was incredibly important for him to do this because he knew that soon down the road we would be taking care of complex cardiovascular problems using a hybrid approach.
Mike was very innovative, and that's why he thought to do this. He played a big role in really defining this, what has, I think, really become a new specialty.
One of Mike's visions, too, was to formalize a fellowship training program for cardiac surgeons.
The educational part of this was tremendously important to Mike.
His goal wasn't just for him to be the one that had this special, unique training.
Dr. Michael Davidson was a mentor of mine since I started my training at the program in 2011. He was really an inspiration, and I just have to say he was a great teacher.
I work with medical students who have the opportunity to work with Dr. Davidson. But whenever I hear Dr. Davidson, the only thing I could think of is Dr. Davidson as a freshman in college or as a senior in college.
He started off as a philosophy major at Princeton. And so going from being a philosophy major to being a cardiac surgeon is a pretty big leap if you're not an eclectic thinker. And Mike was.
Mike was a multi-talented guy. He was actually an incredibly talented musician. Much of what he did with music was self-taught. And that was just something that most of us can't do. He was just so great at figuring things out.
He was always fighting the battle of time and wanting to do things. Something broke around the house, he'd want to fix it.
And this is a man who, I think when he'd pick up something, he'd really push it to the fullest extent that he could. And
he decided one day, whilst on call when he was a resident, that he was going to build a fly rod.
He surprised me on Father's Day by delivering me a handmade, beautifully crafted fly rod.
He looked at it and said, I can place these guides in a better place. And he made a rod. It's very interesting. I've seen commercially manufactured rods since that time that have adopted the ideas that he had.
A couple of years later, he made me an even better one.
He tried to look at the things, the way we did things, and rather than say, well, this is the way we've done them and it worked, he tried to say, well, how can we do it better?
And I think that what many of us will miss most about Michael is those other dimensions and those other elements that he could bring to enrich our appreciation for each other and for our patients.
Mike was a very caring person, a very passionate person. He took the outcomes of his patients extremely seriously.
I think we took it for granted how involved he was in the patients, in their care, and not only the patients but the families as well.
But again, that comes back to two things: his Renaissance man personality and the fact that he really, really cared about patients as patients. Not about hearts with disease, but about people.
I still hear from 2 or 3 patients whose lives he absolutely saved, and without his intervention, they would not be alive today.
Sometimes people get so caught up in what they're doing that it's very hard for them to have another normal life. I call Mike Mike because he never really went by the appellation of Dr. Davidson. He was always Mike. He reveled in being normal.
As devoted as he was to his profession, he was equally, if not more, devoted to his family. That was an absolute priority. About 6 months before his 40th birthday, he said, I've decided what I want to do for my birthday. I'm going to run the Boston Marathon.
My wife and my older daughter and I were sitting there cheering everyone on, and I saw Mike, and I jump up and I start screaming, yelling for Mike. What absolutely stands out, though, was that he was running with Terry. And here they were, this couple charging along solidly together, running towards that finish line. It was a beautiful moment.
Physicians have to call on all aspects of their character in order to achieve the excellence to which we all aspire. And I think Michael was a spectacular example of that.
He was really my best friend.
We should honor Mike, I think, in our everyday lives by trying to take care of patients the way he did, and think about how we would treat patients if Mike was standing next to us, helping us evaluate and treat them.
course.